on today's episode of The Real DJ Show.
What's up? Like
dibs on dibs. I'll dabble with dibble.
Oh, we're gonna be.
I'm just saying, if you got a brother that's a world champion DJ, who else is gonna DJ at your wedding?
You can't come back later and be like, "Hey, client, sorry, that was just an automated message. We didn't mean this or so this."
That's
it's just as though it came out of your mouth, even though it was automated.
Last time I was here, it was St. Patrick's Day. Today is Cinco de Mayo. They must think I'm a real alcoholic. Welcome to The Real DJ Show. Cheers, bitches.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, what's up, everybody? We're back. Since we can't have shots of tequila at some bar in Vegas, we're going to buy a whole bunch of shit on Amazon and start a podcast. It's The Real DJ Show. Rich Cranston alongside...
What's up?
John Roach.
Hey,
good. Welcome back, man.
I appreciate you having me back and haven't fired me since this whole thing started. And I spent 15 grand of your money on this podcast.
Just reconciled all that stuff this past month and had to pay that Amex bill off, so that's pretty good.
That. Hey, with us as always in the booth is Mickey. What's up, Mickey?
Hey, what's up?
And of course, as this show is for and about the private event DJ and DJs in general, we have actually a guest who's going to challenge our thoughts about private event DJing. But we start every episode highlighting one of these guys out there killing it in their space. Mickey, give me the one thing.
Let's go.
I wake up, flex, I'm down that check. No drip, this wet. Tell him run it up. No sleep, no rest.
All right, we're stoked today. By the way, when this guy sent an email in saying he'd come on the show,
I can't wait.
It was my favorite email of all the ones we've got.
Of course.
He basically told us we're a bunch
I'm just going to sit back and listen of you guys just kind of go back and
forth.
forth.
You guys are mobile DJs. How Gen X of you. So I'm pretty excited. I was pretty excited to read his email. But hey, look, as we've always said, right, Rich, this is not an echo chamber.
No, definitely not.
No. So we have DJ Duke from the Monday Mashup show on Twitch. This is David. What's up, David?
What's up, man?
What's up, boys? How y'all doing?
We're good.
Good morning.
We're self-deprecating humor here, so hope you're cool with that.
I appreciate it. I'm used to it.
Yeah, good deal.
Sweet.
We were talking off air that we're all enjoying our caffeine, although you got me a little excited, Rich, when you had talked about tequila shots, but I guess I'm talking into the Vegas tequila shot. Not having those this year. All right, Dave, this is a thrill for us. Again, we really appreciated your email that you sent in. Made us excited because we love opinionated people. You seem to be exactly that. But before we get into the one thing about DJ Duke, could you tell us, hey, like I always say, it's the superhero origin story. Tell us how you got started doing what you're doing.
Yeah, so it's kind of a crazy story. So, growing up in high school, I went to a bunch of like my youth group dances. That was a lot of fun. I went to every single one of those things. I actually went to only one high school dance, and I was like, God, this is so whack. And then like didn't go to anymore. Youth group dances were lit. So did a bunch of those. And then like I had this big sound system with, it's like 1970s Kenwood system, but I had 412s in it, 2 tweeters per box, a horn in each one of these things. Sure. I want to say it was pushing 800 watts, 200 watts per channel in the thing. So like it had some juice. And one of my buddies was having like a house party freshman year of college. And I'm talking like a month into college. And he's like, yo, Dave, do you want to DJ? And I'm like, I don't know anything about DJing, but I've got a ton of music. I've got a big sound system, or what I thought was a big sound system.
Sure.
And I had one light. Almost burned myself on the damn thing, when I decided to like tear it down. It was awesome, getting like 10 people to dance was like the coolest thing ever.
Yeah.
Like, let me tell you. And like, it was better than drugs. It was better than drinking.
Yeah.
It was better than my ex-girlfriend. Like, let me tell you, it was awesome. I don't need to explain. You guys have, we've all been chasing that dragon for 20 years. And, well, we'll get to that story a whole nother time. And, so then, like, next thing I know, people are like, yo, Dave, can you do my party? Can you do my party? And then I start doing, like, some fraternity parties in different colleges. And next thing I know, I'm getting booked at different colleges. And I'm opening for some major artists, And I've been very fortunate to, I've got a small grocery list of people I've opened for. And, then I'm starting to do, my friends are getting married. So I'm starting to do some weddings here and there. And then I link up with another DJ and we start putting out some albums together, producing, making mashups. Yeah. We signed a record label, and then we're like touring, playing different colleges in different clubs in different towns all up and down the East Coast. We're playing different festivals. We're playing a festival in Chicago. We're from Richmond, Virginia, if that puts anything into perspective.
Yeah, sure.
Go down to this club in Chapel Hill, North Carolina, and then they offer us an opportunity to manage the club. While I was studying business in college, and I said, you know what? I'm 23. I've got an opportunity. Let's do it. So then I moved down to Chapel Hill, North Carolina, manage a club, learn everything inside and out from the nightclub industry. This is all while I'm still doing proms, weddings, bar mitzvahs, all of this, because it's all the same lights and speakers. So I'm like double dipping. I'm playing 3-4 different colleges a week and then doing like a mobile at the same time. And about then is also when Monday Mashup is starting. And that's an FM radio show that I did for 5 years. So every Monday was FM radio show where I'd have anyone on from like, Benny Benassi to, Borgor to friends. I mean, half the records behind me are autographed from people that came through. Rebel 3-Style World Champions, DMC sick. Champions. I mean, Thursday I'd be doing a college night where I bring in anyone from like DJ Scribble to Pierce Fulton to Digital Dave.
Nice.
Friday would be, it could run the gambit from a warehouse rave to a corporate party. Saturday was always a mobile, wedding, prom, bar mitzvah, homecoming, corporate holiday party. You name it, rinse and repeat that for 6 years. And now we're here. So
you don't sleep much, is what you're saying.
Coffee, bro.
That's it.
Coffee.
How do you fit private stuff into that crazy schedule that you're doing?
Carefully.
Yeah, I bet.
Honestly, it would be a lot of work.
So here's what I'm most excited about since I read your email.
Let's get to it.
I really wanted you on. I mean, Mickey's like, hey, we got this email from this guy who says he's not our guy. And that made me want you more on the show because that sounds like great content to me. So I'm excited to hear, we call this thing The One Thing. It's about you telling us what the secret sauce is to your success. But for you, David, I'd love if you could also kind of angle that with your opinion, your take on the space that we're more in, the private event space, your take on what that looks like for you. But we want to know what's the one thing for DJ Duke.
So the one thing that, I'd say separates me, but like it also doesn't separate me. It just puts me into a different category, like along with, guys like Digital Dave, is you keep one foot in club world and the other foot in like wedding world.
Yeah, I like that.
And what that does is because the people that are playing, like coming to, anything from my college night to a regular club are anywhere from 18 to 25, typically. Well, when do people typically get married? Late 20s, early 30s. So if you can't hang at the club they're going to when they're younger and paying a $5 cover, what makes you think you're worth $2,000 now, years later?
Yeah.
So, obviously you're bringing out lights and there's an equipment cost and the Cold Sparks got money and the Fog Juice got money, things like that.
Yeah.
But I think one of the big things that's been the key to my success is being able to like learn, your classically trained wedding MC shtick and then mixing that with being able to take them to the club, like keeping the formal parts formal and the fun parts fun. And when it is time to take them to the club, we got the remixes and the redrums and the acapella ins and the acapella outs and different moves like that. But also, it's, I don't want to say staying relevant within the audience that you're trying to, attract, but knowing I know what they were listening to and bumping to in the club 2-3 years ago. So now when I've got their wedding, I already know what the back pocket card is.
And you're bringing those memories back for them too. I mean, it's a nice pool of prospective clients because when they party with you on Fridays and Saturdays, now they want to bring you in for the wedding. I mean, that's perfect. I love that.
Well,
it's worked out numerous times, actually.
Right?
I think sometimes we lose the perspective because, look, I mean, it's been a long time since I played in a club. I'm a married guy. I have 2 kids. Like, that's just not the thing for me anymore. I still maintain my space, in what we're doing in the private event world. But, I remember the club days, right? But you forget, because we have that background, we think that everyone's done that, right? Everyone's, like, started, like David here and moved from the clubs into the wedding scene. But as we've done this podcast or we go out to, a mobile beat or another conference, you realize that that's not as common as you think.
Right.
When, 'cause that's where we've came from. It's not as common as you think. I mean, how many minds do you blow? I mean, you were telling me about a conference you were at where, you lay down some law on, on some DJs.
Well,
like, I mean, it's pretty uncommon that your origin story is not common. And people that are in the private event space started in the private event space to a large degree.
Yeah, for the most part. So a couple of years ago, I was at a conference and I asked everyone who the current Red Bull 3 style or DMC US champion was. Not a single one of them knew. But you're telling me there's an Olympic level competition for what we do and what we've been doing for, 40 years, and they don't even know who's representing America. But let me tell you, they know any and every kind of Mark Farrell, tidbit that there is. And when was the last time Mark actually DJ'd an event?
Yeah.
I know he was doing stuff pre-99, but you don't see him rocking the club at Mobile Beat.
Right.
This is, again, no offense to Mark. He does a great thing and his whole seminars are incredible. But I'm talking from a DJ aspect. So now we've got guys that are competing at the most elite level in the world, representing the United States. And it's I don't know. It's a perspective.
It is perspective because largely the market is for private events and where grandma doesn't appreciate, EDM scratching.
Hey, you had Farrell on an episode, didn't you?
No, I had Randy Bartlett.
Oh, you had Bartlett.
Yeah.
How did that go?
Oh, it's great. Randy and I are actually good friends. We agree on most things, and we see it from both perspectives. He's the beginning of the night guy, and I'm the end of the night guy.
Yeah, sure.
We can do either's role, but it's if the lighting guy and the sound guy switched roles. It'd probably be really dark and really quiet, but eventually they'd figure it out.
Yeah. That sounds like a business plan there somewhere.
Randy and I were actually talking about Jan I's video about scratching at weddings, and he's the guys that are telling you not to scratch at weddings, one, probably can't.
Yeah.
And, if those that can't are telling those that can that they shouldn't, and if you can, and you can proficiently, you probably know when is right and when you shouldn't. If Randy is saying that, and he's saying if you can flex some muscle and you do have these skills, you should
do it.
Use them.
Absolutely.
That's an interesting point about, the voices out there in our space that say that there's no point to, the mixology at a wedding or the scratching at a wedding or whatever. It's likely coming from a place of insecurity. And that's just not where they came from, right? So
bully people.
Right.
I mean, I'm not saying you should listen to me because Mike Walter and Joe Bunn were saying the same thing on PhDJ a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah.
So, it's literally the same thing. It's just literally where the market's going. If these kids that, kids, I say, I'm 31, so I say kids. If they can see someone at a club, as I said, and pay a $5 cover and they're killing it, or they go to Vegas, or they're going to EDC, or they're going to Ultra, or they're seeing the guy that's playing between the country bands at the country bar and he's still slaying it.
That's the thing is so I'm 43. When our generation gets to be older, I mean, we're going to still appreciate, when we're in our 60s, we'll appreciate scratching or
turntablism and
absolutely,
all those things
right? But the baby boomers of what's going on right now, they don't necessarily, and that is foreign to them, and they don't like that, right?
Well,
so as this whole thing evolves, I mean, so does the age group and the level of appreciation. Which is why it's important to listen to
a guy like David, who offers the perspective that, hey, look, break out of your comfort zone. Just because it's something that you are insecure about doesn't mean that isn't a market.
Right.
Which is because that's the prevailing thought, right? Well, there's no market for a turntablist at a wedding.
Yeah.
But it just, frankly,
I disagree.
Isn't the case.
There definitely is a market for that. There's a market.
Actually, DJ Shifty, Red Bull 3 style, DMC world champion, he DJ'd his sister's wedding.
But that was hot.
I'm just saying, if you got a brother that's a world champion DJ, who else is going to DJ at your wedding?
Why not?
But you think he's not going to be doing some 2-click flare orbits behind his back? And you know what? I actually do promise you, if you can do that, your audiences will see you do that and think it's awesome.
Yeah. Well, I mean, at the bottom line is we're all DJs, and whether you're in a club or a private event, in my opinion, I mean, we're all there to do the same thing as entertain guests and to have them escape reality. I mean, yes or no, right?
Some dance to remember, some dance to forget.
All right. Hey, man.
It's good talking with you.
We appreciate it. We'd love to have you on again. You want to do some plugs?
You can find me on Twitch, twitch.tv/DukeDJ. I do a show every Monday called The Monday Mashup, where I have on guests from EDM world, open format turntablists to, guys in the wedding industry. Sometimes we do some giveaways, whether it be merchandise from neon black clothing or tickets to a music festival. Every Thursday, I do what's called Toucan Thursdays. Well, really until the club opens back up, where it's just whatever Dave wants to play.
Sweet.
And we'll have some conversation. And you can find me on Instagram at Duke DJ, DOOK DJ, the exact same way it is on Twitch. If you want to find me on Facebook, facebook.com/David Sporn, SPORN. I think that's how it's spelled. Cool. I don't know. So, yeah, find me there, guys. It's been awesome. Thank you for having me on.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
no, we appreciate you. That wasn't nearly as confrontational as I thought it was going to be. We agreed too much.
We'll bring them on different
All right,
topics.
we'll bring
for
on
sure.
different topics sometimes so we can argue more.
Yeah.
But hey, you're the man. We appreciate your time. We'll talk soon, Dave. Thanks, man.
Thank you,
Be
guys.
healthy, buddy.
Yeah, take care.
See you. Damn, I thought you were going to spar more.
Well, look, I was ready. I mean, he was a really nice guy, which is nice that we worked with a really nice guy on that segment. But his email to us when he described like that he wanted to come on to do the one thing.
Yeah.
I was waiting for some controversy. And he basically framed it up as like, you may not like me because I think mobile DJs are cheesy.
Oh, we definitely got to bring him on. I was going to be like the Michael Jackson meme with the popcorn. Just like, bleep, 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 bleep.
Hey, we have a guest.
Oh, speaking of personalities, Adam Dibble. Encore personality, Adam Dibble's in the house.
What's
Adam's
up?
gonna be-
What's up?
There he is.
Yeah, what up, man?
It's always awesome hanging out
I
with you
see
guys.
you brought your
like, dope.
Adidas and your Frohawk.
Yeah.
He's
no,
looking good.
it's
Adam's-
like full on, man. There's no faux about that. All the way back, all the way up.
Adam's going to hang with us for this segment and is going to stay for a couple of things. And so we're going to jump to him a couple times.
Yeah.
But here's the thing, is that when we originally had the idea of doing a podcast, it's because there were issues that we think are really important to our industry that haven't ever changed, that we wanted to talk about. I mean, when people ask us for our help or our opinion on things, this is what we're going to cover today about, let's bring it out. We're talking about contracts and payments and deposits and these things. It's still the number one topic besides how much should we charge. The second one is like, how do I not have to pay a deposit back? But COVID really accelerated that conversation because look, we're losing people.
Well, there's been a lot of businesses that we've seen that either don't have a really good contract, they don't use a contract, and their business practices have been in place. So at the end, and you throw something like a pandemic at them, people are going out of business. They're going under. They're severely underfunded. They're selling their gear. They got rid of their space. I mean, they're jumping ship. So when you started a contract and just the way you do your business when you have clients is...
Yeah, if I had to read one more, I can't tell countless amount of times about, hey, how do I have the conversation with a client that I don't want to give them their deposit back? Well, problem number one is you have a deposit.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, which usually means that we're going to get something back. Like you have a container deposit, right? You get that back when you bring the container.
Or like for a lot of us, look, our college apartment, right? Like, as long as we didn't burn the rug down, we get our security deposit back.
If we don't have an event, we're getting our deposit back.
Exactly.
Yes.
So what we're going to talk about is a couple steps here. One, changing these wordings or getting rid of some of these things, and then talking about a better way to structure payments.
Right.
And then how do we go into fleshing out to prove that it's real? So
For sure. You have to have a contract, and it has to be specific to your business and industry. So you need to talk to an attorney that specializes in that area.
Speaking of which, at the end of all this, we're going to bring in our friend Rob, who is an attorney that we've met at Wedding MBA, who specifies in helping people in the wedding industry write better contracts and manage this legal process better.
For sure.
All right. So right off the bat, let's identify the issue. The issue is we still have DJ companies that are taking a small deposit.
Yep.
And then a large payment right before the event to pay for the event.
Right.
What's
And
the danger of
If
that?
the event doesn't happen, you're not getting that money, and that's you haven't been compensated for everything you've done from the time that they signed with you until just up to the point where they canceled. That's the issue. And there's no language in the contract that protects you, and there's no language that you've communicated to the client of what you're going to be doing to validate why that you should get paid for that work.
And if you're framing that first payment as a deposit, like you said, by the nature of that word, you're telling them if the thing that I promised to do doesn't happen, you're going to get it back.
So the issue is you have to change your mindset of deposit, large balance at the end. Now, frankly, I mean, you can run your business however the way you want it to run it. But if you are feeling some heat from the pandemic, you should think about restructuring the way that you get paid. So when a client signs on, and especially for single ops, you're taking your name off the board, period.
You have no other inventory.
And if someone else calls, you're not available. So that's called opportunity cost. So all the people that you deny, I'm booked, if this one client that you're telling everyone that you're working for goes on you and they don't book, I mean, you've lost opportunity of all those clients you said no to.
So if we said that a deposit, a small deposit and a payment is wrong, because the danger is they're going to be asking for that small deposit back. And if you don't do an event, whether they've broken faith or you can't have it because of a reason like the pandemic,
right?
You're never going to earn that money. So what's the solution and what's better? And for us, it's pretty easy.
They have to have certain language. I mean, they have to have certain language of what you're calling that initial payment. Stop using the word deposit. If you want to know what actually words to use, you need to consult an attorney that specializes in wedding industry law.
And the real issue is change the way you take payments altogether.
Yes.
A structured payment system that really identifies the work you're doing.
And what I will say is typically your payment initially should be about 30%. Okay? If you're not taking at least 30% down, I think that's dangerous. So think about that initial payment. That first payment is 30%. I know a lot of people that charge 50%. Great. If you can get that, awesome. Whatever you think that your labor will peak along the process of having that client on your books is kind of where you want to have these installment payments.
They have to be for something. We need to be able to communicate to the client what these things are for.
Yes. And what are you doing in between booking and the event?
Right.
I mean, because there's a lot of gray area.
And we're going to talk about that. The third thing we'll talk about is proving it. So let's talk about the structure and what we mean about having them apply to specific milestones of the relationship. So, for example, on our payment structure, we take an initial payment. There's no reason to call it a deposit. There's no reason to call it a retainer. It's an initial payment. And again, if you want better words for that, call Rob. You'll meet at the end of the show. But this first payment for us, what we communicate to a client is that this first payment covers the costs of what we go through onboarding a new client, the cost incurred of client acquisition. And for us, that's things like meeting with our sales team and the marketing that went into it, the cost of doing a bridal show, they chat with one of our DJs before they pick them.
Overall, it's your costs of doing business.
It's the cost of client acquisition.
Yep.
And so what we tell them when they make that payment to us, it's already been spent. This is not some security deposit or something you can get back. The minute you become our client, the initial payment that you make to us, it's already spent. That is spent money, and there's no way to get it back because I can't take back the meeting we did. I can't take back the emails and things that we traded while you were evaluating us. That money is spent. So again, every payment made to us is earned upon receipt, or as Rob is going to refer to it, he calls it liquidated damages, meaning it's already happened.
Right.
We can't get it back. It's liquidated. It's already happened.
And this is why that number should be at least 30%, is because if someone does cancel, think of if you book someone in January, right, and you've told 5 people between January and June that you're not available, when they cancel on you in June, at least that 30% is enough to cover
how much it costs
funds
to bring them in.
Exactly.
Cost of client acquisition. For us, then, we take a payment somewhere in the middle. It depends how long a client, how far out from their event that they're hiring us, but we take a payment somewhere kind of close to the middle. And this middle payment we describe to the client is what's paying for all the work that we do while they're our client. So the emails we trade, and we're available to take their phone calls, and we do online open houses where clients can see our DJs play so they can pick the one they want. And we do a planning checkup. We have a member of our staff who reaches out to the client just to check in to see if they're on the right path with their planning. These are all the things that we do in the middle, on top of countless emails. Of course, look, how many emails do you trade with a client?
Mm-hmm.
Every single one of those takes time. So again, our description to the client about this middle payment is it's earned upon receipt, or it's a liquidated damage, meaning that when you pay that to us at some point in the middle, it's for work we have already done and we can't take back. I can no longer take back our friend Nikki, the producer, who also doubles as our customer guru, who calls someone to say, how's their planning going?
Yes.
This is money they've spent on those services that have happened already that we can't give back. When they say, hey, well, I need my money back, well, you've already used these services.
Yes, and again, this is outlined in your agreement, and you discuss this during the client onboarding. So when this issue happens, if it does, this isn't the first time you're both talking about it. It's very, very important.
And for us, the last payment we take is closer to the event, and we describe to them it's to secure the staff for the event. Now, that costs us money. Hiring costs us money. We're guaranteeing work to these people that are going to be going out to work the event. These things cost money. It is baked into the cost. So when they make that payment, it is earned upon receipt, meaning that if they've made that payment and then decide in that last month that the event's not happening, I apologize. It cost us money to secure those services of those people that were going to come to your event. So again, it's not about a security thing, something that services that be rendered later. It's services that we've already gone through,
right? Because
costs we've already incurred.
Because think about it from the employee end, right? They're telling their families they're not available on July 4th to do a wedding, right? So they may turn stuff away, and then now they're not able to do that event because something canceled. They're missing out on a chance.
Well, it costs us payroll. I mean, we send out an assistant with our DJ, whether they work that day or not. That's costing us payroll. I mean, keeping them on the payroll costs us money. And so these are the kind of costs that incur to go into that staffing, but we explain it as such. When you pay it, it is earned upon receipt.
Right.
And for many of our clients that needed to move their date, let's say, they're getting married last summer, kind of holding out hope that last June they could still have an event, and so it was close to the event before they decided to pull the trigger to move the thing. Well, at that point, we're not giving you money back. We'll move this thing for you. But there's not money coming back because that's money that
everything that's already been done.
It's already been spent.
Yeah. I mean, for the example here is if this podcast doesn't work out, the money's already been spent for these lights, the microphone, and everything like that.
Good mics.
And the labor to put into creating everything. If the podcast doesn't work out, I, as the business owner, I don't have the right to go back and say, you guys got to give me the labor back because the podcast didn't work out. I'm making the correlation of, hey, the wedding didn't happen, so we need our money back. F off. We've been working very hard for you.
We may not actually tell
We're
them.
not going to tell them to F off, but this is a DJ podcast. So anyways,
but how do you prove it though? Right.
There's the thing. And I'm going to, so going back from my days in law enforcement is you have to keep excellent records to cover your ass. And we keep excellent records here. We got to protect yourself to keep detailed notes when you talk to people, emails. You should have an automation system or a customer management system that you can input when people call or email, and then you can put like emails in, just notes of what's going on.
Yeah, so back up. The reason why we want to do this is because even though, look, we all know when we have a discussion with a client early in their relationship, that honeymoon phase, they want to give us their money and secure our services for their date. Then, of course, anything you're going to tell them then, they're not going to remember.
Sure.
What's in a contract?
Yeah, great.
Whatever.
Awesome.
Sure,
yeah,
whatever.
It's 2 years away.
Let me sign here.
Sure.
So you're still going to get the occasion, even though we've communicated that, hey, when you pay us, it's for work we've already done and we can't take back. You're still going to have people that ask about that, right? And say, hey, well, what do you mean you've done work? The wedding hasn't happened yet. Well, this is when excellent record keeping is invaluable because we have to prove to them in some cases, or at least be able to communicate, well, here's all the work we've been doing. So like you mentioned,
you have to protect yourself.
We need to be able to pull up, well, here's the entire list of every email I've sent you, right? We've traded 45 emails. You've made these many phone calls. We've had these many open houses during that time. You've had a meeting with your DJ on this date at this time. You have to have those records to be able to add the proof to this.
And give some credibility to yourself. I mean,
right.
It's an emotional time, and by no means are we saying, just keep this to take advantage of people. No, you're protecting yourself. You're protecting your business. You're protecting your family. You're protecting your employees. So whatever you want to do, listen, if you want to give them a refund and go against your contract, that is your right to do as a business owner, whatever you want to do. But at least you have this information and knowledge to do that so you can make those decisions.
It's kind of like a health club, right? I mean, you join the gym. We've all, at some point in our lives, joined a gym, thought it was time to shed those pounds. You're paying that monthly fee to them, whether you go use the gym or not.
Right.
But for us, sometimes we have to show the proof of that. It's easy for a gym. We were open every day. You decide not to show up. Not my fault.
Exactly.
But for us, sometimes we have to force ourselves on them to prove that we've done the work. So for us, it's been automation, right? So we set up our automated CRM system to send out an email. Hey, just thinking about you guys. Hope the planning is going well. Give us a shout. We're here every day. Remind you, we're here every day working for you if you need us.
You have to do business as usual, right? I mean, you can't go if you're the turtle. You can't go back into the shell. Oh, there's a pandemic. I'm going to ghost. I mean, that's the worst thing you can do.
Yeah,
you have to be out in front of this stuff. You got to be visual, right?
We know that there's some clients that are going to pay you your first payment and then be the easiest clients ever and show up sometime before their wedding and start asking questions.
Right.
And we have some that will call us twice a week for the entire 2 years they've hired us,
which is also okay.
Yep. But we have to, for the clients that don't necessarily go use the gym every week. we still have to prove to them that work was happening, whether or not they decided to take advantage of it or not.
Because they paid for it. If they choose not to show up, that's on them. But we still have to do the due diligence of give them the benefit.
So if you haven't set up a CRM system to do automated communication just to refresh their memory that you're working every day for them, and you're at their beck and call when they're ready to, it makes it much easier to prove to them later if they said, well, we're not having the event. What do you mean you work for me every day? Like, we haven't done the event yet. You need to be able to show, nope, look, here's all the emails we sent you that's saying, hey, we're here to work for you every day. So you've got to set that automation, keep good records, and keep doing business.
And that's a 10-minute conversation. I'm not sure how long that was, but that's a rough conversation of how we've succeeded. So if you have specific questions, call us. But you're going to want to catch up what's coming up next. Listen to Rob.
We're about to bring in a guest that's going to add some legal gravitas to the things we've just been saying. All right, let's bring him in.
All right, cool. So that was a lot of good discussions.
Yeah, it's an important one. This is an important discussion.
We should just let the big dog out.
I mean, right now it's a bunch of DJs in an echo chamber talking about how important this is, but it's time to add the credibility. We're super excited to bring into the conversation Rob Schenk from WeddingIndustryLaw.com to tell us how dumb we are or how smart we are in that discussion. But the reality is, though, here comes the true credibility about this topic. Rob, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Hey, Rob, could you, before we go any further, because we're going to get some great content from you, do you want to put the little small letters across the bottom of the screen here about this?
Give us the fine print, brother.
Give us the fine print.
Yeah, look at you guys. You guys are honorary lawyers. Okay, so just for the audience, what we're going to talk about today is just for general informational purposes only. I cannot give legal advice over a medium like this. So if you're like scratching your head, what should I do? Don't rely solely on this video, this podcast, or you're going to be toast.
Absolutely. Hope everything is going well down south there. And we met in Vegas a couple years ago, and ever since, you have done phenomenal things for our business, and always love doing business with you. If you're going to partner with someone, you have to have a good accountant, and you have to have a good attorney. And
someone that knows our business, because we have some unique challenges
for sure in
our industry, and so having Rob help us out, we could not give a bigger enough endorsement. So not to turn this entirely into a Rob commercial, although it probably should be because he's the man. But Rob, I think we talked about the industry and the unique challenges. I think one of the struggles that DJ companies have, and this is a podcast for and about DJ companies, during the pandemic was, clients asking for a full refund after we've done some work for them. I mean, we put in the effort, we saved dates for them. But this challenge, it really isn't just a COVID challenge. I mean, this is a challenge that exists for DJ
it should be on a
forever.
daily basis. You should be practicing this, right?
Yeah. So what are some basics that a professional in the event space should consider when it comes to this issue of deposits and refunds? What are some basics?
Great question. So I think the first thing is to understand that there's going to be kind of two buckets for when the event or the wedding or whatever it is canceled. One that is beyond the control of the parties and one that is within the control of the parties. So let's do the one that's within the control of the parties first. So the couple breaks up, they're cheating on one another, they just don't like each other, they want to change the date and you can't ride along with them. These type of things. So in order to protect your money in that situation, it's important to have what's called a liquidated damage clause. And that just means that there is a finite amount of money that is not going to go back to the client because the client has breached the contract. And rather than sue each other for breach of contract, you're just going to keep that money. Okay. In the past, that's been called like deposits, retainers, these type of thing. But in reality, it's functioning as liquidated damages. We're agreeing not to sue another, and I'm going to keep this money. We're going to go our separate ways. You can do that for any time that the client cancels the event within their control. And you can also do that, not just one payment, you can make that multiple payments. So anytime you accept money from the client, it doesn't go back to the client if they cancel within their control. Perfectly acceptable in almost all jurisdictions if the wording is correct. Okay. So no issues there.
Okay.
Any questions?
That was good. Well, actually, to elaborate, so we've, at your advice, we've moved to a multiple payment structure for our own contracts, right?
Great.
So a liquidated damages earned upon receipt kind of payment structure. Like we've set a calendar for payments that, we, for specific reasons, specific milestones of their relationship with us, and we've made these payments earned upon receipt. So obviously we need to show the client why that is real. Communicate that, right? Communication, it's in the contract. We're communicating that. It's step one. But how enforceable is that? In your experience, when you actually have to I don't know if we get into, as far as litigation, but at least in a mediation.
Is there any teeth? Is there teeth behind that?
What's the teeth? Right.
That's an excellent question. You've actually brought up a really good point. Number one, they are enforceable. And in my experience in contracts that I've drafted, they have been enforced in courts of law. But as you hinted at, one of the elements typically that is required to make liquidated damages enforceable is an explanation and an acknowledgement on the client's part of why it is not refundable. And that can be foregoing business opportunities. You're retaining secondary personnel. Like if you're a management company or DJ company and you need to hire DJ Tron coming out of Wisconsin, you're out of pocket for that. Things of that nature. So letting the client know that it's not just a spot on your calendar. It is actually you are doing things behind the scene. And so that's one of the components of a strong liquidated damages clause.
I mean, that was a lot of
God,
part
I
of
love
last year.
Rob.
Well, yeah, absolutely.
Doesn't matter.
So I think next to social distancing, the other popular word that came out of last year was force majeure.
That no one knows how to spell, by the way. I always screw up the E and the U.
Yeah.
I suppose in your business, you know where to put the U and the E.
So,
As
I
do
mean,
I.
can you elaborate? What is it and why do vendors need it?
Great. So this is going to kind of go into the second bucket that we talked about a little bit earlier, which is events being canceled for reasons beyond the control of the parties. So force majeure typically is a contract clause that basically says, I'm not going to sue you if a tornado rips the venue away or there's a 100-year flood. So in other words, the clients can't be in the middle of a hurricane and be like, where's the DJ at? And the DJ's like, man, I'm not going to show up in the middle of a hurricane. Are you crazy?
Yeah.
So there's no liability. There's a defense to breach of contract for not showing up if the event can't go on because of something crazy going on. Where does that leave the professional in the age of COVID? Do you have to give money back? Who says that you can't go? So I highly recommend now that it's not enough to have the old school boilerplate force majeure, which is, if don't sue me if there's a flood, labor strike, alien invasion, that kind of stuff.
Right.
You have to go a step forward. You have to define what it means for an event not to be able to go forward because of an infectious disease. Because at this point now, you've got your turntables and a microphone, you're ready to be there, put your mask on, you got your lotion. But the client's like, I wasn't envisioning an event where people had to wear masks we can't all eat together. So really hammering home the bullet points of what it means for the event not to be able to go forward truly, and having an understanding with the client about that. That's number one. Number two is making sure that if the pandemic triggers the force majeure where we can't go forward, you obligate the parties to move forward and reschedule. And the reason why that's important is because that's going to be really the only way for the DJ to retain full contract value, is to keep the contract moving on down the road. And so if the client either doesn't want to take good faith efforts to reschedule or just doesn't want to, or is not most of the time, but sometimes using COVID as an excuse, you could say, I'm keeping everything that you've paid, and it's just the same as if you've breached for reasons within your control. Then finally, the third thing is just kind of make sure that it's bold, capitalized, everything, that the client is assuming the risk if the event will not go forward because either they won't make a good faith effort, don't want to, or even after a good faith effort, you can't reschedule within whatever period of time.
Right.
That's where I think we are in the state of COVID-19 right now. That's the best practices for DJs anywhere, is to handle those things in their contract.
I've said it before. I'll say it again. There needs to be clear, concise language. I don't care if you're doing a grad party in a garage. You have to be on the same page as far as what you're giving and what you're receiving.
Well, it's so smart about what he's saying about the bold letters about this. You're obligated to go forward, right? I mean, because that's where people are getting out now, is like, well, screw it. It's been a year and a half since our original date. We just want to buy a house, or we just want to go on vacation now. Screw it. I don't want to have this wedding anymore.
Yeah.
The only way we can keep this full value of the contract is we're obligating them that we are all going forward.
Exactly.
All right.
That's right.
We're just, well, you've made us smart enough. We appreciate that as DJs. We're just smart enough to be dangerous about the stuff that we know about this. So I'm going to give it to you. Any other tips that you'd give to DJs or event-based businesses that we haven't talked about? Anything else they should know about in the COVID world, or just the world we live in? Other tips you'd give them, Rob?
From a non-contract perspective, it's important to understand that everybody owes a duty to one another to behave appropriately. And in the age of COVID, that means that you should develop a policies and procedure for your business. So if you're not just lone DJ, if you have multiple DJs working for you that you're sending out, DJ Tron or whatever, DJ Tron is not going to show up at that event with a fever and hasn't been able to taste anything in 3 days.
Yeah.
Right. That you are taking reasonable steps that you're not going to infect people at that event. And if you do these things appropriately, if you act reasonably as a business, then it's going to lessen the likelihood that you're going to be sued if someone gets COVID at the event and they're looking to sue somebody.
Yeah,
because
sure.
just because somebody got COVID at the event doesn't mean the DJ is liable, doesn't mean the planner is liable. The DJ has to have what's called breached the standard of care, meaning they did not do what's reasonable. So having a policy and procedures in place that's written that you actually do will go a long way to protecting you from that situation.
That's super smart.
Good stuff. Well, you've been a tremendous resource, brother. I've enjoyed our time together, and I appreciate you in every sense, and be safe.
Rob, where can people find you?
Yeah.
Give us some plugs, because people, look, I'm not just saying this because he's here. People in our industry need you in their life now more than ever. So, Rob, where can people find you?
People that are interested in talking to me, you can find me at weddingindustrylaww.com. Shoot me an email, rob@weddingindustrylaww.com. I'm all over whatever, Instagram and stuff. I'm on Clubhouse every week. I do on Clubhouse on Thursdays at 4 p.m. Eastern. I do kind of like not get legal advice, but you can ask me questions and I give general information, so to speak. And that's about an hour every week if you're interested in that. And I've also got a YouTube channel in which every week I got new content.
Cool. Also, if we haven't already introduced him, we got Adam over there on the couch.
Hey,
personality, Adam Dibble.
We got a great panel today between Rob and Adam. This might be our best segment of BPM ever. But all right, this is our game show of competitive DJ debate. We call it Beats Per Minute or BPM. Mickey, spin me some BPM intro.
Pick it up, pick it up, pick it up. You see the drippy, I'm fitted up. Hop in my car and the giddy up. Secure the bag, yeah, I get the bus.
All right, Mickey, spin the golden wheel of death and pull out a topic for me to school Rich about.
Oh, that's okay. I have an attorney on my side, John.
That's kind of not fair. You and Rob are friends. You pay Adam. Who do I got? Mickey.
And I pay the producer.
Damn it. I'm screwed. All right, what do you got, Mick?
Mickey cut him off.
Your first one, here we go. From a market share and competition standpoint, single operator DJ companies are at a significant disadvantage to multi-op companies. Agree or disagree?
Well, the reality is that, yes, they are. Now, look, if I was a single op, I'd be writing a great laundry list about why a multi-op is at a big disadvantage. Like, it's impersonal, and you may not meet that person, and, you know, it's some big machine, and no one cares about you as much as I do and give my personal attention, and all these other things that are completely not true. The reality is the multi-op provides way more resources for somebody. That's a complete advantage to the client. Backup gear, backup DJs, your choice. You're not stuck with one person's personality. the fact that single ops can ever compete with us, frankly, I think is completely unfair. But if I was a single op, I could write a pretty compelling list of why it's better, but the answer is that it's not.
For sure. I will agree with you that being a single op for market share purposes is a distinct disadvantage. And I'm not shitting on single ops.
No,
I started out as a single op. I have much respect. I just always wanted to be a multi-op. So there you go. But the thing is, and I'll use the pandemic as an example. If you're going to lose any businesses during the pandemic, it's the businesses with the largest overhead, which typically tend to be the multi-ops. So if you're single op and you're going through your thing and you have good business practices, you don't have a lot of overhead, probably. So, but when it comes to market share, it's tough to compete with larger companies.
I'll tell you what, before we leave it to Rob, though,
I still have 20 seconds.
Go ahead. I'm cheating.
No, it's okay. What were you going to say?
Well, I was going to say, when it comes to COVID, though, with the multi-op, the biggest reason why people are having challenges with the rescheduling or a moved date is the fact that their single operator business, whether it's a photographer or a DJ or whatever it is, doesn't have the new date available. Right. With a multi-op with 13 DJs, inventory is not going to be the reason why we can't reschedule something for the new day.
When it comes to market share, you're not getting a lot of traction being a single person for a multitude of reasons. Like you said, backup. What happens if you get sick? What happens, about your customer service? So if you're busy rescheduling things, your phone's ringing off the hook, and you're trying to send out receipts, and you're trying to plan for the wedding, I mean, you're drowning. You're completely drowning.
All right, Rob, tell us the reality. What do you think?
Well, I agree with everything both of you said, and I don't know if I'm qualified with my little roadcaster here to talk about market share and DJs.
Damn right.
But you're a smart guy.
No, I mean, like, I guess, for me, though, is I'm kind of a single individual. I don't have like 25 attorneys working for me. So that gives me the flexibility to work with the clients and things like that. So in the marketing and really sell my personality, whereas the multi-op is having to develop a brand that each individual DJ would have to kind of fall under. I may be wrong. You're right. It's just me spitballing.
No, there's a lot of correlation between obviously your practice, because every time I've talked to you, I've talked to the guy.
Right, which is exactly the argument that a single op guy makes.
Right,
is that you call me, you get me. Adam, what do you think?
Adam,
honestly, I think both of you guys are right, and you have some really valid points.
Who brought the kiss ass?
Not even true. Not even
You're
true.
Both
but
awesome.
The reality is single app just can't. There's no way that they can do what multi-app can. You just have so many more resources.
Why aren't you a single op?
Because I want to be part of. I want to be part of the company. I want to be part of the family, and I want to be part of a brand that I believe in. Like, I
want to go to business.
I think branding is a great thing, especially when you're with a company where you can be your own brand within the company brand.
Cool. All right, Nikki. Let's get another question that maybe 2. Adam can't kiss our ass to. Here we go.
This one's perfect for today. Here we go. Business legality and risk question. Do you operate under a DBA or doing business as, or do you operate as an LLC or corporation?
Very good.
And you can tell Rich wrote this because Adam and I are not going to be able to compete. But go ahead.
Okay, just because I'm going to slam you in this question doesn't mean I didn't wrote it. Okay, so the question being DBA or LLC or corporation, absolutely, positively has got to be some sort of protection, and that's an LLC or a corporation. When you get into risk, as far as putting yourself out there and you're doing business, once you do more business, you're opening yourselves up for some legal issues, more money, more problems. Always the true Christ, right? There are certain protections that an LLC or a corporation will give you, where a DBA, which is basically a paper at your county clerk's office that you can put over your head in the cause of a rainstorm, not going to do much.
Well, I think that you're obviously right. I mean, you need protection. We can't be putting our own houses and lives on the line should our business have an issue that we can't handle or control. What I think that needs to be said, though, is that it's like forming an LLC. That sounds so scary. It's not scary anymore. There's so many resources out there to do this for next to no money and to next to no effort. The fact that you would even consider operating a business without some kind of legal entity in between you and someone suing your ass off is asinine. So so this question is like saying, should I go through the trouble? There's no trouble to form an LLC anymore. I could teach Adam to do it in 20 minutes.
But there's still plenty of people out there that don't have LLCs.
Exactly right. So the point is, the question is slanted to saying, you're out of your freaking mind. if you haven't set up some kind of legal entity to protect your own, assets from, someone who gets litigious with you.
And
so
before we give this to Rob, I would not go to a .com site to form your own LLC. You need to talk to a professional. It has to be.
But I'm just saying that it's easier than ever to do this. So
yes.
I mean, even having a Rocket lawyer or whatever those ones are is better. I mean, you can go do that right now and in 20 minutes and $50. Rob, tell them what's real.
Awesome topic. I actually understand this question as opposed to the last one.
Very good.
So the idea here is that you want to separate your own personal assets from the business's assets in case you drop a turntable on somebody's foot and they have to get 15 surgeries and it costs $15 million. They're going to come after your own stuff. Now, you can do that as a sole proprietor, DBA, DJ Latron, but you better have a ton of general liability insurance, because that's really the business killer, is the personal injury stuff. Okay.
Yeah.
So now, setting aside that, you're absolutely right. It's much safer to create that extra wall around you with either doing an LLC or doing a corporation. I consider LLCs kind of like the Goldilocks, man. It's just like you were saying. It requires very little in setup and even less in ongoing maintenance.
Right.
It doesn't require board of directors, all that kind of stuff. Now, Rob, should we do an LLC and then pass through or S Corp, or should I do an actual C Corp? I think that, aside from the liability protections, that's going to be a question for your CPA and your tax guy. But you're right. Having that extra veil of corporate protection is worth the trouble.
Thank you for adding in there. The first call should be to the accountant.
That's a good call.
Versus the first and then the attorney. Because the accountant's going to advise you as far as how you want to set your business up. Then you consult with an attorney. Many people do attorney first and then accountant next.
Adam, please add your expert opinion.
You want my expert opinion, or you want to know who I think gets the point for that one?
Yeah, who's right?
Well, since
who sounded smarter besides Rob?
Clearly Rich designed that question to school you, I'm gonna have to just give the point to Rich for going through the effort of writing that question out like that.
I have no chance today, Rob. I have no chance today. It's fantastic. Why don't we just ask, what did Rich have for breakfast this morning? And he can go first. And we'll see who wins. All right, Nikki, pick me one that I can school Rich on, which is pretty much anyone that he didn't write.
Oh, boy. See what happens when John loses?
I'm a poor loser. I'm not going to lie.
Your question is, a DJ company's client communication and contact management should be nearly all automated. Agree or disagree?
In the world we live in, especially if you're a multi-op and you have a million responsibilities, you need to automate as much as possible. Now, I didn't say everything, because there is still those opportunities where a client's going to know that email came from me and my fingers and sent out a personal email. But when it comes especially to that initial stages of client contact, where a prospective client may take 15 emails before they've decided to call me back, you never know where you're catching somebody in the scope of their life and when they're ready to actually sit down to do business. So you've got to stay on them, and the only way to do that with repetitive success is by doing things automated. You've got to automate that client contact. Also, we talked about earlier, I'm going to go over my time here a little bit. You make a buzzer sound.
Objection.
But when it comes to proving to a client that you're doing the work, right? So we talked about that, adding the guts to a contract. We say, hey, I don't want to give this money back, so I have to add evidentials of why. Sometimes that's automated. Like I sent him an automated email to say, hey, just checking in. Hope your planning is going well. Let us know if we can help. I need to tell somebody, hey, if I'm going to keep your money because I was there to help you plan, I need to show some evidence that I tried that. Go ahead. I know. Jesus.
Sidebar, Your Honor.
Disqualification. Disqualified.
Well, I mean, a key word
He's
here.
in contempt.
Key word here, mostly. I mean, all right, so here's the deal. Obviously, we subscribe to the automated process. It's vital to our business.
Yes.
Why? Because we get thousands and thousands of inquiries annually for our business. So we have to have some sort of automation. And once you get to the mix of wedding season, we can't construct emails as fast as we can. However, there should be some human element because you are dealing with human. Our business, we want to be personal. We want to have that human element, that contact. So we do a lot of manual writing, but the follow-ups and whatnot, automation.
Yeah,
sure.
I think the word there is mostly. Because, there's going to be times where a client's going to know it's automated or not.
Yeah.
And so you have to still give them that human
and there's
fuzzy.
a way to craft these automated emails, which is a whole nother topic, to make it
the voice of it
appealing,
sound
make
like
the
it's
voice of it sound.
Rob, how much does that apply in your business? I mean, do you have to deal with, that automated contact? How does that work for you?
This is one of those things that I struggle with because I should be doing all automated stuff, but I'm too old school. Like I want to be like, oh, hey, Rich, are you doing great? Thanks for that email, and constructing them myself. So I want to be in the automated land and I should be there, but I'm not. But let me add the legal thing to this.
Yeah.
Just because your business is sending out an automated email doesn't mean that it can't be used against you. So if you're promising something, if you're marketing something, and you can't come back later and be like, hey, client, sorry, that was just an automated message. We didn't mean this or this.
That's
it's
great
just
insight.
as though it came out of your mouth, even though it was automated.
That's great.
So on the flip side of that, Rob, if you are defending yourself to a client who, because they didn't have a wedding yet, they want a full refund, can you use automated emails as attempts or vehicles that we massaged or took care of that client during their tenure with us?
Does it show evidence that we were in support of the client, why I'm not giving their money back?
Yes.
Okay, so that's an excellent question. So hopefully what happens is that if the judge picks up your contract, the point of the liquidated damages is that you shouldn't have to bring in evidence to show what you did. The liquidated damages clause is there so that you won't have to.
Okay.
It's just saying there's no way for me to know whether or not I'm, hiring somebody special for your lights, working on your playlist, researching whatever this event is so I can do a better job.
Yeah.
All that is baked into the cake of that clause. But now, does it hurt you to have that stuff? No. Should you do it? Sure. Why not? But your contract is functioning in that place.
Okay, because that was my question. Because there's a lot of things that we've read or saw that. Well, what do you mean you're going to keep our money because we met with a DJ for about 30 minutes and we've got a bunch of emails? Well, that stuff takes time,
right?
And that's the argument.
Adam, who sounded smarter?
Let the record reflect. The attorney said that that was a good question, so I asked good questions.
I think I posed the question.
Let the record reflect. I just want
the record reflect. So reflected.
So the reality with this is you can take this back to like the topic of the multi-app organization, and the client can get both. Like where the company maybe is sending out the automated responses, but then when that event gets assigned to the DJ, the DJ is going to make those personal phone calls, send those personal emails, Facebook messages, whatever. So they get that personal touch too. Honestly, though, I'm probably going to give the point to John on that one just because I don't really want to listen to him cry again.
Okay. Wow. There you go.
Yes. Little sympathy.
In a larger company, we do call people back.
Right.
We do.
Right.
We do.
Right. And that personal touch goes a long way.
All right. Well, that's our segment of BPM.
Awesome. Good stuff.
Rob, thank you so much for hanging with us today. We appreciate you. All righty. That was a cool segment. So, hey, we're going to do one of our favorites.
Setup Wars.
Setup Wars.
And we have some talent.
We do have a talent with us.
Yeah. He's very talented.
Personality. Adam Dibble's in the house. What's up, AD?
What's up? Like
Dibs on dibs. I'll dabble with Dibble.
Oh, we're going to be...
that open
one
house?
client, that one open house. I'll dabble with Dibble.
I think that client wanted more than DJ service. All right, Mickey, give me the intro for Setup Wars. Holy smokes. I got to lean in to figure out what's going on.
Oh, my God.
Not for nothing. I thought the LED strips on the side of the speakers were interesting. I don't know about if a cool factor, but all right. So a couple things. There's some attempts made to drape shit. Yeah, they draped the front of the sub. I thought that's pretty careful.
That's very strange.
Yeah. Your laptop stand we got here. We got some business cards. I like that. Very good. The coloring's kind of awkward. just not really symmetrical.
Adam,
the
what do you-
coloring,
what do you
not
think?
really. Yeah, what's going on?
All right, so I'm gonna be a little more generous than the last one. There's some positive things here, right? Like coloring's not like my choice, I guess, but like we don't really know like what the client chose. Maybe they wanted different colors, so I can be objective about that. It's fairly clean. Like there's not cables hanging all over the place.
That's a good point.
I don't love the lighting on the speakers. That definitely would not be my choice. Again, maybe we don't really know that person told the client or whatever. So, I mean, cleanliness factor, there's not a lot of stuff hanging all over the place. They do look like they made an attempt to kind of cover that up. So I think that's positive. Again, not really kind of my
Adam,
preference, but
you have stickers on the back of your laptop.
yes, I do.
They have some signage there. Comment on that.
So like my view on that is it really kind of depends on the way that you're utilizing that. And for me, I use it as a way to show off kind of some of my personality with it.
And people don't know you. They have you have band stickers.
Yeah, it's very punk rock. It's very, very punk rock. But
I think what he does is tasteful.
in all fairness, too, like when I decided to do that, I have a removable case on it. So if in the event that I need to remove that, I can.
So I'm intrigued by the lights on the speakers. I'll be honest. I can't tell by the brand of the speaker if this is something that is like a factor. Now I've seen some powered PA speakers that actually do have lights built into the middle of them. I've never seen good powered PA speakers that have that, but I have seen there's a brand or two out there that build in some LEDs into the speakers for whatever reason. I'd have to figure out some research if they come like this. Now, it's an intriguing thought to me because I would tell you that I hate lighting trees. I am a DJ who hates a lighting tree. And so what's positive about that? Well, if that
There's no
actually
lighting
is some
tree.
kind of dance floor light and it's built into the speaker and it's high, so it actually makes some impact on a dance floor, and you don't have to have some crazy lighting tree.
But it's shining to the side, though. It's on the side of the speaker.
Yeah, I don't know. But it's hard to tell by the angle that maybe that is kind of pointed forward. Now, look, if this was a DJ's attempt to add a dope mod to their speaker by running some adhesive LED strip to the side of their speaker, okay, I would question the thought of that. But if this is actually built into these speakers and they provide some kind of function, I mean, okay. Look, they at least they think like me. They don't want some crazy lighting tree next to them. It's clean. I don't know why we're draped a subwoofer. I don't know what about that needed to be draped. Maybe we can just put that someplace else. But okay. Look, I hate all white. I think that there will be, like I mentioned this in a previous episode. Like, you know how you can identify a wedding picture taken in the 90s because there is that cloud effect, like silhouette around it. Maybe a halftone picture of the bride and groom doing a different pose up in the corner and like a halftone dreamy thing.
I had that grammar school picture.
Sure. And you immediately see that go, okay, that was the 90s or the 80s, right? I think the drape everything in white thing would be remembered by some phase of the early 2000s where you drape everything in white and put an LED light underneath it, that stage. So I think it looks dated because of that. But the positives, look, they've done great wire management. Like, they're inside that crazy scrim on the tripods there. The wires are managed. So some good things going for this person.
That's good. The last couple photos, there was some attempt made to hide the base of the stand.
Yeah.
Sure.
It's not,
Yeah,
you're not
agree.
karaoke
Agree.
night at
Yeah.
Applebee's.
All right, Adam, give this thing a score.
Yeah.
I'll give it a 5, like 5 or 5, 6. Fairly clean. Cables are hidden. I like that.
It's a dated aesthetic, but some positive attempts here to do the right things. I'm at a 5.
5.5.
Very good. Let's do one more, man.
5.5. And extra bonus points for actually getting a holder for the business cards. I do like that. All right. Next one, Mickey.
This guy's better DJ than me because he has got a business card holder.
Ooh.
All right.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Adam, what do you think? Let you go first. What do you think about that?
It's not bad. It's not, I mean, you can't see the bass. No chords, clean. I like the speakers. I like the look. It's sleek. It's modern. I think maybe I would tone down the amount of uplights right there next to my own booth. It kind of screams like attention seeking type of thing. But outside of that, it's really clean. There's no lights hanging all over the place. There's no cables all over the place. Speakers are modern. Yeah, it's not bad.
Rich?
I love the speaker look. You know me. I do like that. The problem is that there's not really a good manufacturer that has nailed it. So anyways, facade, I think a little too much lighting, but I do like the blue. You're trying to use the wine barrels. Kudos to you. We have some you're taping down some wires and stuff. That's awesome. And you have a facade. Looks good. I like the look. Tone it down on the blue lights a little bit. The blue lights don't match where you are. You're in wood. So this would be really cool if you have like white behind you. You know what I mean? I want to do an amber.
Yeah. I mean, I can't always make up for the poor taste of some client. I don't even say poor taste. The specific taste of some client. So maybe this client has picked, and I can't see the rest of the room. So perhaps the client wanted this kind of aqua blue uplighting for the room. By the way, I've investigated lights like that, those real small battery-powered, almost pin spot-sized uplights. There's some really cool technology going on with those, and I think that the fact that they have these kind of lights shows that this is a DJ who's good. I mean, I would see this setup and say to myself, okay, this is someone who knows what they're doing.
Yeah.
So all the positives you guys have already said. It's super clean. I love all black. If you ask me about that, that's what it should look like. All black. It gets dark in the room when you're partying. It disappears. Like, I mean, the speakers look amazing. We have never found a speaker array. I mean, I know we're last to the ball game on, all those different cool array style. I just never think they sound as good as, full-blown power speakers. But whatever. It's super clean. This look is great. Even if, though, the client said they wanted this blue uplighting, this is way too much. I mean, 1, 2, 3 on each barrel, 2 in between the speakers, 2 on the facade. I mean...
Maybe it was a baby shower.
I don't know. This is a lot going on for me on that. If those were spread out around the room, great. I think it's a little too much attention on, hey, look at me on the DJ. Yeah. You know how I feel about that. But
would your answer change if the arrays were speakers on a stand?
No, I think
change
the
look.
I think it's great. I mean, if those were speakers on a stand, if they had some kind of scrim or drape on the tripods, I love that look. Same thing. This look is great.
It's good. Nice job.
I wish those speakers sounded as good as full-blown speakers. But if this literally same picture, but it wasn't just so many lights on the DJ, I think I would be feeling way better about it.
Yeah.
Adam, give this thing a score.
I'll give it a 7. It's really clean. I like that.
6.5 for me.
Yeah, I was exactly right. I mean, there's so much. This could have been a 9.
Yeah.
I just think,
got to sharpen a little bit.
It's just a little too much
tweak.
on me. I'm a 6.5.
The booth isn't really my style. I like the open booth look, but it's clean, and everybody is different kind of what they like.
If the client wants blue, talk them out of blue. They're in a barn.
And that's the thing is, it's. I don't know what's going on. I don't know what happened, but even if those were amber uplights in that concentration, be better.
There's a lot.
Doesn't match the.
It's like you're driving ahead and there's a pair of
It doesn't match the aesthetic. It's like we're in a barn, but it's a club.
For sure.
Anyway.
We got time for one more.
We can do one more.
Zip it, Mickey.
It's good practice anyway.
I love it.
Mickey, thank you. That's what
I love it. First off, got some evolves there too. Everything in white. I think it's pimp. So I love the fact that you're using haze. I'm jealous of the fact you're using haze since our market sucks.
They're in a barn, so I guess that's how they're getting away with it.
Yeah. So everything looks sick, man. I mean, everything's hidden. Got some pretty cool columns there. Some intelligent movers. Love the evolves. I wish they had more beef behind them. I don't know if it was the 30s or 50s, but and the pedestal. I mean, DJ furniture is sick. Nice job all around. Would I critique anything? No. Otherwise, I mean, you were in a barn, but we had this look, but it don't matter. It's still hot. Nice job.
I think it's dope. I'm gonna agree with you. I don't really see anything wrong with it. I love the way they have the lighting placement. I love that look when DJs use that type of lighting on top of the stands like that. I think it's really modern. It's simplistic and really modern. I love that furniture piece. I love when DJs have furniture pieces like that where your guests can actually watch you DJing when it's completely open like that. I think that's super unique, very modern. No cables. You can't see any cables anywhere. Super sleek, super modern looking speakers. Yeah, I mean, that's almost perfect setup, I think.
What do you think I think about this?
Oh, you hate it.
I don't hate it. No, that's not true.
Yeah.
I hate white. Look
at me on the DJ.
Yeah. So here's the perspective I try to take is that we go to DJ conventions and we see white stuff as DJs and we lose our collective minds. right? These guys brought in the Pioneer, the 1000 SRT in white, and we all stopped business to like, it's in white.
Yeah.
As DJs, we think that's awesome. I think the thing I'm learning is that for outside of our industry, the people looking out in, white is not the preference. That clients and venue people and other professionals, their preference is that the DJ disappears more, right?
So if you take off those the fabric that they have, and change that to black.
Oh, if you took every piece of this, you give me that pedestal in black, you put black socks on the truss, and give me those evolves in black, and I'm with you guys that this is dope.
So it's the white factor.
It is. I think that it's going to date it to this time that we're going to remember. Remember when you go to a DJ show and everything you bought was in white? Like every booth you stop by, they're trying to sell whatever the thing is in white.
Mm-hmm.
I think that we're going to remember, look back at the 2020s or the late 2010s and remember that was a thing.
So is your hang up, hey me, I'm looking at the DJ, and white accentuates that?
Yep.
So we've been wanting this to happen as DJs. We've wanted pop culture. We've wanted our audience to look at the DJ as an entertainer,
right?
As a focal point.
Yep.
So
I think the talent should be that, and what people outside of the, because you're right, what DJs want, we want to be appreciated, right? And so that's why I think we have the visceral reaction we do when we see white gear, is because it is more of a spotlight thing. And look, there are amazing DJs. DJ Joe Bunn, who in my mind is the epitome of a successful business. And in many ways, we modeled our business, not all the way. I think we're innovative as well. But he uses all white gear. He just did a vlog where he did a vlog of a gig logger, as he call it, where his stuff's all in white. So people like that. I think that you're right, though, that as DJs, we want to be appreciated for our talent. And which is why we like things in white. But what I'm saying is, what I'm trying to hear outside of the echo chamber of all DJs saying what's cool is that clients and venue people and other people that are stakeholders in either referring us or being involved in the event, they prefer that we put out gear that more blends into the surroundings instead of trying to be the surrounding. So yeah, to me, if you took all of this and you put black socks and there were black speakers and a black pedestal, so it more our talent set. I think the lights are dope. I think that you want to see the effect. You want to see, like, it's for me, it's like I want the uplighting to show the venue, not 6 uplights pointed at me. The venue should be lit up, not me. This is that same idea, is that, look, I want what people remember to be my talent, not the white. It's not a big deal. Look, I'm still going to score this down. I'm going to give it right now.
The DJ's just flexing.
I'm going to.
So I got to be
exactly
honest,
right.
They're just flexing.
I mean,
that's
honest
right.
with you. Like when I looked at this, like I didn't even really notice the white fabric. Like I was looking more like, hey, this DJ was smart enough and modern enough to take their lighting and put it on top of this truss tower, which is a modern thing to do.
Totally
They
true.
have a modern booth. They're not using a banquet table. Which unfortunately, there's a lot of DJs that are not doing any of that stuff still.
Exactly.
This day and age.
Don't take this as me thinking this is not a good setup. This is the best one we've seen.
I mean,
it might be the best one we've seen ever in the history of doing this.
I agree with you on the DJ blending into the background, but this person was very innovative comparative to a lot of what's out there.
Here's my issue, is that we as DJs, right, we want everyone who hears us, we want them, because we're not the, for so long, the DJ has just been kind of like in the back scenes, backstage, right?
We're the last person to hire.
But even just thinking of the DJ as who they are and what role that they play in an event. But we've had video games. We've had now. I mean, think of multiple different DJs. You have Skrillex, Avicii. I mean, Steve. The list goes on, right? They have these concerts now.
The DJ is the headliner.
They're the headliner, and they're selling out, right?
Sure.
So the DJ, coupled with all of that,
We
the
live in a
pop
DJ
culture. Yes. Right. So now the DJ they're a spectacle. Right, so they shouldn't be the spectacle at an event, but they are.
The expectation, though, has changed, right? The expectation of what the DJ is has changed now.
In the eyes of the consumer.
If the people had come to this event, had paid to see the DJ, I'm doing this.
Maybe, because this setup looks like
But they haven't
setups that we've seen before.
But they haven't paid to see the DJ.
I agree with you though. Like the expectation has changed, and so the DJ needs to change with that. But there's a way to meet the expectation and also blend into the background.
I think you can
too.
do both. I think that you can be the centerpiece of the entertainment, but
Yes,
not
I agree.
like scream that you have to.
Yes,
do.
I agree.
And
I agree.
9 times out of 10, we're not in a market where DJ. I mean, we are getting flown into different cities, but we are not an attraction. I mean, the
Right.
couple isn't going around to. Oh, maybe they are going around to our their friends and and family members. Hey, Adam Dibble's going to be at my wedding, or Rich Cranston, or they might
Sweet.
be. But I
I
mean,
hope
like
so.
I just don't know that. So because of that, is all right. Yeah, we should not be this
Right.
loud. I just was challenging because the vision of the DJ has risen
Right.
several in the last several years of what the DJ should be.
And why we like the white is because it does make it stand out. I just need to think sometimes, as a business person, as running your business, I have to think about what do the stakeholders in hiring me think, or the stakeholders in referring me think. And I think there's no one who's not going to think this is dope. But if this was this in black, I think you're making everybody happy. You're going to make
I agree
the
with
venue
you.
manager, the client happy. I mean, I wish our setup looked like this. I just would want it all black.
I agree with you. I think for me, it was more just that this person clearly was innovative enough to go
of course.
beyond using a banquet table and a banquet linen.
Again, allow me to say we've done, I don't know, 8 or 9 episodes of this.
It's by far the best.
It's by far the best.
By far.
No qualification. This has been the best one we've seen.
Mickey, send him a T-shirt.
Yeah, but if I'm
Send
just
me a
being honest,
t-shirt.
I'd want. If it were me, I'd want it all in black.
I'm going to score it 9.5. I never give perfect 10-0s. 9.5 is my highest rating.
It's a 9 for me.
Yeah, I'm
it'd be a
gonna give it.
9.5.
I'm gonna give it a 9.
All right,
There it
that
is.
was Setup Wars.
Another episode of Setup Wars
Thanks
in
for
the
our boy
log.
AD.
Adam Dibbles. If you want to connect with Adam, it's what's your
I'm
socials?
at Adam Dibbs on Instagram. Find me there.
And he does make skinny jeans look good.
And you can, you know it's him DJing because he likes all his stuff in white.
Thanks for marketing that to all the DJs out there.
All right, that's it for us. Another episode of The Real DJ Show is in the books. We want you along every time, so make sure you like this video, subscribe to our channel, and ring the little bell so you get notifications of all of our new content. We know you're DJs and have a lot to say, so jump in the comment section to join the debate. If you have content suggestions or you want your DJ company featured on The One Thing, email us at TheRealDJShow@rochesterdj.com. Lastly, if you're sick enough that you want to take the audio of this with you wherever you go, you can find the audio everywhere quality podcasts are found. All right, that's it for us. Show's over, bitches.